What's up, the squad? Back on another video. I'm Recklezz.
I'm good.
Got Larry Elder School's woke liberals. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all to like with that subscribe button. More Larry Elder. Make sure y'all comment down below. Let it be known. Let's get in the video.
Woke liberals are making race relations worse. The good news is, have you noticed that race relations comes down to this? How black people feel about white people and how white people feel about how black people feel about white people. I was in the Phoenix airport the other day, walking through, it's real early in the morning, I had a couple hours to kill, and a young white man came walking towards me wearing a black t-shirt with white lettering that read, "Protect Black Women." Now both of us were wearing a mask, but I couldn't help it. I went up to him and I said, "Excuse me, may I ask you something? How is it that black women are not protected?" He seemed a little taken aback at first, and then he said, "Well, in every way." I said, "In what way?" He said, "In every way." I said, "Well, if it's in every way, it should be easy for you to tell me one way. Tell me one way black women aren't protected." And he said, "Well, they're not paid the same." I said, "They're not paid the same as white women?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "For doing the same work?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Why does any white woman have a job?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "If I'm an employer and I have white women and I can hire black women for less money and they'll be equally productive, why wouldn't I fire all the white women and hire just black women?" And he went, "Well, that would be illegal." I said, "Since the 60s, it's been illegal to pay somebody unequally for the same work." I said, "What you're saying is just not true." The Department of Labor did a study on this.
I feel like a lot of people needed to, a lot of people, they'll wear those type shirts and don't really know the meaning until somebody else comes and say something.
Somebody like him comes up.
Facts.
When you compare apples to apples, women versus men who have the same educational background, same work experience, there's virtually no difference in their income. In fact, young women out-earn young men in almost every major city. And he started walking away and he said, "I really don't want to have this conversation right now." I said, "Maybe next time, a different t-shirt." I asked the man for some evidence. Where was it?
If the defense wishes, he may question the witness and bring out his side of the case. No questions.
What the hell is systemic racism? And if it's so obvious, so widespread, so pervasive, how come nobody seems to be able to come up with any proof? Remember Cedric Richmond, the black congressman who told AG Bill Barr he was engaged in systematic racism?
Attorney General Barr, you started your testimony with eloquent words about the life and legacy of John Lewis fighting systematic racism, voter intimidation, civil rights. The one thing that you have in common with your two predecessors, both Attorney General Sessions and Attorney General Whitaker, is that when you all came here and brought your top staff, you brought no black people. That, sir, is systematic racism. That is exactly what John Lewis spent his life fighting. And so I would just suggest that actions speak louder than words, and you really should keep the name of the Honorable John Lewis out of the Department of Justice's mouth.
Well, Harvey Levin of TMZ and I had a pretty feisty conversation in which he argued that President Trump was essentially being racist for not recognizing systemic racism. The conversation started out okay, but it went south pretty fast.
At the same time, Donald Trump is touting that he feels he has been better for African Americans than anybody except possibly Abraham Lincoln. And he's trying to paint a fairly rosy picture of what it's like for black people in America under his tutelage. So how do you square the two?
This man is doing something about the economy before the coronavirus pandemic, historically low unemployment. The man has signed the First Step Act, which allowed something like 5,000 mostly black men to have their sentences reconsidered.
But that's what I'm saying, though. How is somebody going to say that Trump is racist or Trump is doing this and doing that? And then, I ain't even going to say Trump. I'm going to say somebody else.
Yeah.
Why would you say that somebody is, racist or they're not doing that for the black community or they're not doing that for this? And then, that person will turn around and try everything in their power to do it. And then they'll flip it around and be like, "Oh, well, he's doing, try to flip the shit to where it's like, steal. The bad guy steal. when he's trying
I'm
to,
gonna say there's proof.
yeah, trying to
Show
like
it, yeah.
flip it, you know, to make it. I just don't understand it. Like how you can sit there and I don't know.
Like
It's just
either
weird
way
to
it
me how
goes,
people do that
It's still
shit.
gonna be like he's the bad guy. Because
And it's like,
keep
what do you
flipping
want?
around. Yeah,
Type like.
yeah. Because I'm literally telling you.
allowed something like 5,000 mostly black men to have their sentences reconsidered and reduced an average of about 75 months. He's also spent more money on enterprise zones. He's put funding on HBCUs for the first time over a period of 10 years. No one's ever done that before.
The president is also saying that there is no systemic racism in America. There is no systemic racism in policing. And
There isn't. There isn't.
okay, all right.
There is no evidence of systemic racism whatsoever. In fact, the evidence shows the opposite. I was just about ready to say there's a black Harvard professor named Roland Fryer who assumed, just as you did, that the police were killing blacks just because they were black. He did a study. Not only did he not find it, he found out, which tracked other studies, the police are more hesitant, more reluctant to pull the trigger on a black suspect than on a white suspect. And it's common sense because of people like people in the media who immediately assume that a cop is doing something racist or motivated because the victim is black. They're afraid to shoot a black person much greater than they are afraid to shoot a white person.
Larry, you're from Los Angeles, and you know what happened with the Rampart Division. There was an incredible scandal where they were going into the inner city and they were setting people up and planting drugs and doing all this stuff. I mean, this has been going on for a long time.
Harvey, 20 years ago, from 1992 to 2002, Los Angeles had back-to-back black police chiefs, even during the O.J. Simpson case. And what happened? Willie Williams.
That doesn't mean
you're
make it go away, Larry.
And I'm learning as I go because I don't know none of
You
this.
can't look at a black police chief and say, therefore, there isn't systemic racism.
Right, we had a black president. Is there no racism in America then, Larry? I mean, come on.
Wait a minute, first you said systemic racism, now you're saying racism. Which one do you want?
No, I'm saying I'm sticking with systemic.
There's no evidence whatsoever of systemic racism. I ask you to prove it.
A cop watching somebody run away, a black man run away, shooting him and killing him. A guy walking into a convenience store, shooting him and killing him. Larry, we've seen this.
Okay, here's the thing, Larry. I hear what you're saying about the studies.
Harvey, let me try it this way. There are 50 million police-civilian interactions every single year. Out of that 50 million, there are 11 million arrests. Out of that 11 million arrests, 60,000 officers are assaulted. Out of all of that, 1,000 civilians are killed. Half of them are white, 250 of them were black. Almost all of them were resisting with a weapon or resisting violently. When you get down to unarmed black men being shot by white cops, you're talking about less than 4% of the total. And unarmed does not mean not dangerous. Michael Brown was unarmed, but he was reasonably perceived as dangerous. It is rare, Harvey, you guys are exaggerating this. When a white person gets killed by a cop, nobody gives a damn. When a black person gets killed by a cop, people are out in the streets. And in Philadelphia, you're talking about a city where the captain of the city council is black. Almost every single member of city council is a Democrat. They've had black mayors. The police chief is a black female, and you're still talking about systemic racism. It's ridiculous. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, really. You're making the country worse.
Dang, see, I don't even know that. Like having a black chief and having like a black, like having that, and then it's like, that's crazy. I didn't know none of that. So I feel like if you got to speak on something, you got to know the whole nine. You got to know.
Yeah, he's definitely telling them.
You got to know everything.
Hey, Larry, I'm going to be very clear about something.
Hold on, Charles.
I sleep just
am not ashamed of
and
myself.
maybe you do too, and that's fine. So we're going to disagree on this.
Maybe you should be. Maybe you should be, Larry, because there is a
The facts are on
problem.
my side. The facts
There is a
are on my
problem in
side.
this
The facts are not on your side.
and you are
gentlemen.
relying on statistics, and you are not looking at
It's
humanity,
called
Larry.
facts. It's called facts.
Did he really say you are relying on statistics,
Statistics,
not
yeah.
looking at humanity?
You are relying on statistics.
But ain't statistics like humanity? Like that's like the
Say
same.
yes.
Like that's coming from
The same.
humanity. Though.
Yeah.
Like
Regardless how it goes, it's still the same.
like I absolutely get what both people are saying. With, I can get what he's saying with humanity. Like it's still a person losing their life to a cop. It's still a person losing their life on the street to this person. It's still, but statistic wise, with the topic that they're talking about, is that's what that is. That you know what I'm saying that
It's
like
still the same.
you can't lean away from, you know.
Statistics, and you are not looking at humanity,
It's called
Larry.
facts.
He sure did.
Oh, the humanity.
Democrats are really, really big on humanity, you know.
Living with the knowledge that no matter how hard we try, how much good we do in the world, there will be far too many who will never see our humanity.
But when Trump reached out to blacks, you know, humanity to humanity, what happened?
It was a bunch of mediocre Negroes being dragged in front of TV as a photo op for Donald Trump's exploitative campaign against black people.
And when a congressman brought during a hearing a black female employee of Donald Trump to show that Donald Trump was not racist, he was accused of bringing a prop. And when Kanye West was invited to the Oval Office and went and embraced and supported President Trump, Don Lemon called him a minstrel show.
I have no animosity for Kanye West.
His name is Don Lemon or Don Lemon?
I think Don Lemon.
Was he trying to be funny, or it's Don Lemon?
Just going to be honest, and I may get in a lot of trouble for it. I actually feel bad for him. What I saw was a minstrel show today. Him in front of all of these white people, mostly white people, embarrassing himself and embarrassing Americans, but mostly African Americans, because every one of them is sitting either at home or with their phones watching this, cringing. I couldn't even watch it. I had to turn the television off because it was so hard to watch.
So if you don't bring a black person to a hearing, you're guilty of systematic racism. And if you do, well, you've engaged in a minstrel show. Can't win.
That's what I mean, but you can't win
This sort of thing
regardless.
happens when you ask people who are just convinced about systemic racism, institutional racism, structural racism, for some facts. Here's what happens.
Because black people in most cases, in many cases, were descendants of slaves, that racism as an institution, that it just, a certain amount of it just exists.
2015? Give me the most blatant racist example you can come up with right now.
I think you could probably find evidence that, in general, cops are more willing to shoot if the perpetrator is black than white.
What's your basis for saying that?
That's wrong, though. My dad a police officer, and he don't look at no skin color. He don't look at no skin color. He said cops. He didn't say white cop. He didn't say black cop, Asian cop. He said cops. So cops don't just look at he might do this or he might do that. First of all, a black cop, a good cop. I'm not even gonna say a black cop. A good cop is gonna look at the fact that this gentleman, I'm gonna still take a precaution for your safety and my safety. They see, okay, this person is doing this, he's doing that. You know. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really see it right.
I know a lot of people would say, look what's going on in Chicago.
I know what they would say.
Yeah.
I'm talking about what the facts are. 965 people were shot by cops last year and killed. 4% of them were white cops shooting unarmed blacks. In Chicago in 2011, 21 people were shot and killed by cops. In 2015, there were 7. In Chicago, which is a third black, a third white, and a third Hispanic, 70% of the homicides are black on black. About 40 per month, almost 500 per year last year in Chicago, and 75% of them are unsolved. Where is the Black Lives Matter on that? The idea.
And that's what I have a problem with. And y'all can say whatever y'all want to say about me. People are gonna look at me a certain way, but where's all the people when somebody black kills another black people? We just had somebody shoot up the clubs the other day, and I have not seen anything on the news. I haven't seen anything pushed out about, when that's black on black. But soon as a cop do something and kill, you know what I'm saying, for something that somebody's doing, no matter if you black, white, Asian, don't matter, you doing something, they kill we gotta stand up for this person did. Bro, but y'all, you know what I'm saying, this person actually initiated some shit to do some shit. Like it don't really.
And it's found nowhere. It's not even noticed.
That a racist white cop and shooting unarmed black people is a peril to black people is BS. It's complete and total BS. And the reason for these so-called activists saying this is the assumption that racism remains a major problem in America. The media, CNN, especially MSNBC, runs down whenever a black cop shoots somebody, and it's some march on Washington. It's ridiculous. Black people, half the homicides in this country.
But steady wearing Black Lives Matter, or put Black Lives Matter on your car and do this and do that, but still, you one of those people that'll go to the club and start some shit or be some shit to another black person. And that's what I don't get. You feel me? And people gonna say this, say that about me, but at the same time, you know what you're doing at the end of the day. Don't wear no shirt that say Black Lives Matter or this and that, and then you go right out here and do some shit to another black person. That's not Black Lives Matter. People don't know the meaning like that. Like that, if you gonna have something and have a meaning to it, actually have a meaning to it instead of.
You gotta stand on.
Yeah, on my mama you do. You gotta stand on.
By and against black people. Last year there were 14,000 homicides. Not talking about suicides. I'm talking about homicides. Half of them were black. 96% of them black on black. Of that 7,000, where's the Black Lives Matter people on that?
Finally,
see what I mean?
If you have any doubt about which side is more empathetic than the other, consider this delightful phone call that I received from, let's call him a swing voter.
You one ignorant, stupid them big flapping lips of yours remind me of Charlotte, you stupid. I have never seen a mother as you. You Trump.
You didn't have to say black lips though.
Licking mother you. What a disgrace you are. You ignorant mother. Lou Dobbs, you lick his asshole. You a dirty, nasty, stinking, big lip mother.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm not in the will. I'm Larry Elder.
I think it's just funny because like when people do that, use that as motivation. He's gonna use that as motivation, and he know he won. You get somebody that fired up.
Yeah, and he's just like, that's fine
facts. That's crazy, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe button. More videos later, y'all. Make sure y'all comment down below. Let it be known. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Definitely was a good video. You feel me? A great video. You already know. Catch y'all next one.